Oh, and we got a new question to add to the list for Tom Brady, courtesy of UFC president Dana White, appearing on the first ever Gronkcast. This whole Manning cast, because it worked, we're going to have insert name cast
on everything
out the wazoo.
Yeah.
We got Gronkcast now for UFC fights. Here's Dana White dropping a hell of a bomb on Saturday night.
I'm the one, I worked to put that deal together for Brady and Gronk to come to the Raiders. And it was almost a done deal. And at the last minute, Gruden blew the deal up and said that he didn't want him. And all hell broke loose, man. It was crazy. And Brady was already looking at houses, and it wasn't being said yet that Gronk was coming. So Las Vegas would have had Brady and Gronk the year that the Bucs won the Super Bowl, except Gruden blew the deal up. And there's so much story that goes along with this behind the scenes. And I was never going to tell that story till Gronk just said it, but yeah.
And Dana, that is exactly what happened, and you just told the story.
Now, I fully expect that Rob Gronkowski, who said at the end that is exactly what happened, when he's asked about it at some point in the near future, he'll say he was just kidding. Because that's his way out of everything.
Right.
Oh, I was just kidding. Oh, I had the playbook 3 months before I joined the Buccaneers. Oh, I was just kidding. It's a funny joke. That's as funny as how about $100,000 per loss, Brian Flores. Get funny joke. Tell me another one. You know, we had heard that the Raiders were one of the teams, at least on the periphery of the Tom Brady sweepstakes. But here's Dana White saying he had it lined up. It was almost a done deal. Jon Gruden puts the kibosh on it. And, you know, if nothing else, it underscores how rampant tampering is, because there's no way in hell Rob Gronkowski could have been included in that. He was on the reserve retired list of the Patriots at the time. You can't talk to him. You can't work out a deal with him until you work out something with the Patriots. And I'm assuming that this was all happening at the time when Tom Brady was not yet free and clear to negotiate with anyone, because by the time we got to that point, he had a deal in place already with the Buccaneers. So it had to have happened while Brady was the exclusive contractual property of Patriots. But it just shows you how commonplace tampering is. And the Raiders, along with the Dolphins, along with the Buccaneers, along with the 49ers, and probably others, were tampering with Tom Brady in early 2020.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing, though. It's amazing to think, what if? I mean, Dana White, a Boston guy, a Patriot guy, you know, bridging the gap and helping out Brady and Don Yee and the rest of the group make a deal to go to Vegas, you know, a place where all the UFC fights go on, the new stadium there in Vegas at the time. I mean, wow, that was, you know, it sounds like it was going to be some unveiling of the curtain, like Elvis comes back to Vegas here, which would have been cool, certainly. It makes you wonder, without a doubt. Now, that Raiders team, I don't think, you know, it worked out for Brady, obviously. That Raiders team, I don't know if it could have supported him the way he needed to be supported like Tampa could. I mean, Tampa was one of those teams, again, you know, for everybody to remember, everybody was like, whoa, they're kind of damn good. And remember, we were at the Super Bowl, and we had, like, Matt Ryan and guys tell us, like, Tampa might have been the most talented team we played this year, where the Jameis Winston issue was just an issue with him turning the football over. But I find the best part of it, I guess, a little bit, is that Gruden put the kibosh on it. I do find that interesting because, you know, again, Jon Gruden, smart mind, you know, Super Bowl winning coach, you know, one of the best creative guys we've seen in football over the last 20 years or so. But, he didn't want to deal with the pressure of Tom Brady. He wasn't going to be able to give excuses on his way out of that one in case things didn't work. You know, he couldn't blame Tom Brady if the offense didn't work. And then he's going to lose control a little bit, too, because Brady's going to be able to talk to Mark Davis and go, no, I want this. It's great that John wants that, but I want this. And Mark Davis is going to go, yeah, John, I like you, but we want Brady. So, sorry, I'm going to listen to him right now. That's where I find it fascinating that, you know, at the end of the day, they go with Derek Carr, who's a hell of a football player. But, you know, as we discussed with the 49er situation and all that with Jimmy Garoppolo, not Tom Brady. Definitely not Tom Brady. And just a crazy story to hear over the weekend with, you know, Brady, again, like you said, tampering and flirting with a lot of people here.
So to use an example that you've offered up many times in the past about how Jon Gruden views his offense like a Ferrari.
Right.
And he entrusts the keys to the quarterback. I guess this would be the equivalent of him suddenly getting Mario Andretti in his prime to drive his Ferrari.
Right.
And so if Andretti doesn't win the race, it ain't him.
It's the Ferrari.
It's the Ferrari.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. I do. You know, I've always felt that way to a degree. I think most quarterbacks have felt that way that have played under Jon Gruden. And, you know, again, we saw it with Derek Carr. The first few years there, it was, you know, oh, we're always looking at everybody to improve the team. And it was all that type of talk all the time. Well, it's like, well, no, you've got a good quarterback here. You know, what are you doing? Why are you always putting him in the corner like, hey, we might replace you? So, yeah, that's a little bit of maybe the bad of Jon Gruden is that he wasn't always in the car with that guy he gave the keys. He was, you know, micromanaging on the outside. And there's a lot of quarterbacks that played for him that didn't like that necessarily. That's just the truth of the matter. So I always felt like, you know, even when I was in Tampa, when there was the Brett Favre flirting and he ended up ultimately going to the Jets, I always wondered whether if Gruden really wanted Brett Favre either. I did, because I just went, well, I think, you know, we want him. The Glazer family wants him, but does Gruden really want him? Because if it doesn't work, it's not going to be Brett Favre's fault. And I think this is kind of the same situation, but an amazing story to be broken on the first Gronkcast there. And, yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yes, that's a pretty high bar for Gronkcast number 2.
Yeah, seriously.
The story that we posted at PFT on Saturday night, because we've got a couple of different photo services available to us where you put in a name or two in a search box and it returns options that you can use, and you crop them down, make them fit, and all that stuff. When I put in Tom Brady and Dana White, it returned a photo of the two of them together at a UFC event in Las Vegas, January 18, 2020.
Right.
So it would have been right in the throes of it, and they both look pretty damn happy standing there next to each other. So Dana White was up to something, and he almost pulled it off. And but for Jon Gruden, maybe it would have been Tom Brady. I mean, he said Brady was looking at houses in Las Vegas. That's how far along it got. Now, here's where the Dana White claim sparks a second, more intriguing, arguably, story as we revisit some comments that Tom Brady made on the LeBron James show. Previously was on HBO. I think now it's just a YouTube production, The Shop Uninterrupted. Here he is talking about a certain unnamed quarterback that he was surprised that a team that showed interest in him but then suddenly backed out was deciding to stick with. Let's play that.
There was a story in free agency. One of the teams, they were interested, and all of a sudden they weren't interested at the very end. I was sitting there thinking, you're sticking with that motherfucker?
Are you serious? Tom probably had no desire to go to that team, but now it's like, why don't you want me?
Absolutely. Absolutely. When I look back, I'm like, there's no f***ing way I would have went to that team. But they said they didn't want me, and I know what that means. I know what that feels like, and I'm going to f*** you up because of that.
See, that back end is what makes me think, even though the immediate reaction was he's talking about Derek Carr of the Raiders because of what Dana White had to say, and that Jon Gruden backed out at the last minute, put the kibosh on it. But when you hear what Brady said at the end, I would have never gone to that team. It doesn't fit with what Dana White was saying, unless Tom Brady was leading Dana White to believe that he was interested when he really wasn't. You know, a little leverage play, maybe get a little money out of Tampa Bay or whoever, just to have somebody else at the table who really wants me. But that's where it doesn't fit with this theory, this revisited and resurrected theory that Derek Carr was the unnamed mother bleeper that Brady referred to back in June of 2021.
Well, maybe he's just saying that to save face, too, you know, where he's just going, oh, I didn't actually want you either now. I don't know. With Brady, I don't know. You don't always get the honest there, you know. I love that his banter.
What are you implying?
Right. Well,
what are you saying?
Yeah, well, you know, but either way, it's either Jimmy Garoppolo or Derek Carr. We can narrow it down to those two. I think that's pretty much boom. That's all there is to it, you know, because we know the 49ers were involved to the very end, and Brady wanted to go there as well. So, I don't know. I don't know exactly there, but that would have been amazing. Yeah, I just look at the Raiders and the situation and where they were at that point, too. not great weapons, not a good offensive line to protect him. I mean, the Raiders are still trying to fix their offensive line right now. It's probably one of the biggest issues with their team. So that's where I just go, well, I don't know if, would he have really been serious about that? He's a pretty smart football guy and knows how to evaluate talent. I have a hard time thinking he was looking at the Raiders going, that's the team I can go to the Super Bowl with next year. That's where I'm with you in the fact that I don't know if I buy it or maybe it was that leverage play, but just an amazing story. I mean, only Tom Brady could disappear for 10 days, have a story that's so big that everybody's going, what the hell's going on? Where's this guy? Where's this guy? And then there's another story that ups that, and we forget about it for a few days because we go, holy crap, this went down too. He's as famous as it gets right now, and it really was an amazing weekend with all that stuff going on.
At the time that Tom Brady's comments initially surfaced, the first reaction was Jimmy Garoppolo was the unnamed mother bleeper to whom he was referring. And I started to hear from people in the league that he actually was talking about Derek Carr and the Raiders. So that does fit. And there aren't many other obvious. I remember at the time we ran through everything. He's talking about Ryan Tannehill and the Titans. Is this a Mike Vrabel thing? Brady and Vrabel together in Tennessee. Is it about Ryan Fitzpatrick in Miami? Everybody knew they were going to draft somebody with the 5th overall pick, so it really wasn't sticking with that guy when they were looking to draft someone.
That doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah. And I see that we had a story at PFT, and it's amazing how you forget this stuff, but you keep stacking these items up. 15 to 20 a day, one day after another. Some of them become forgotten. There was a report that it was our report that he proposed identical packages to the Buccaneers and the Chargers back in March of 2018, and the Chargers weren't interested, but there was no one they were sticking with then because they were in the process of transitioning from Phillip Rivers to Justin Herbert, who they took with the 6th overall pick. So there was no one to stick with in 2020 by the Chargers. But, it would have been a tough spot going to the AFC West because you got to deal with the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, and maybe that's how Brady's wired. I want to show up and beat Mahomes every chance I can, but he did pick the ideal spot for him. He won a Super Bowl, and yes, even while he has disappeared on a hiatus that presumably ends today or maybe tomorrow or maybe the next day, he creates more news than anyone else currently in camp by virtue of this Dana White story. It just shows, it underscores what we're talking about earlier. Why when you ghost the Buccaneers, you ghost everyone. Everyone's invested in this. Everyone's curious about this because you're Tom Brady.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's just, hey, who's hotter, who's bigger than Tom Brady right now? He's gone to another level of superstardom the last 2-3 years that I doubt he could even imagine. I mean, he's literally becoming he went from great American sports star to world sports star. Everybody knows Tom Brady. It's gone to a whole nother level now. And that's the price to pay. And I'm sure it's not easy. I know that too. I mean, it's not. I can't imagine being in his shoes, dealing with it all the time. That's why I think you see a lot of really, really famous people like him sometimes, go off the deep end or pull their hair out a little bit just because it's a life that's not based in reality. But Brady, for the most part, I still do think is a really damn good guy. He's had a few missteps here and there. And hopefully whatever he's dealing with at home, it's getting better, and now he can come back and play football because we all want to see Brady finish this out the way we expect him to finish it out. Tom Brady playing good football on the Bucs, them being a player for the Super Bowl, and him basically saying, yeah, I'm the greatest of all time, I'm 45, and I'm still going to, kick some butt this year.
And then we'll see him for at least 10 years on Fox as the number one analyst, so he's not going anywhere. And one of the things I've noticed about him in recent years, and it started with the TB12 stuff 4 or 5 years ago, he really is trying to leverage his fame into every possible business that he can and become a mogul in many different respects.
Yeah.
And I think eventually, and this is the ultimate competition with Peyton Manning, I don't think Peyton Manning, well, maybe he will. Maybe with his Omaha Productions, he will. But I think the competition between Brady and Manning now is who can amass enough money to buy a team. Not be the 1% figurehead owner who takes a job in the front office and is a minority partner to someone else. I think that the battle that plays out between Peyton Manning and Tom Brady in the coming years is who's the one to get enough money to be the one who owns 30% of a team, buys that team, and becomes one of the American oligarchs who own the national
Who do you think's got more money between those two?
Well, are we counting spouse?
Well,
we're counting spouse in that it's a no-brainer.
Right,
because
okay.
Giselle supposedly has more than Tom.
Let's not count spouse then. Let's not count.
I don't know. I mean, if Stan Kroenke says let's count spouse.
Well,
because
then,
he married into that
Peyton could probably bring his brother in involved and then go, okay, well, the tables are turned. We're here, we're even then. If they want to get into the team thing. Eli's certainly, not looking under the couch cushions for pennies there anyway. I do wonder, just if you went apples to apples, Manning versus Brady. I mean, the Mannings both retired as the highest paid players in the history of the NFL and really weren't passed up for quite a few years even after they retired. That's how much money they made. So I do wonder.
I think it's Peyton.
Just because of all the years of endorsements and all that, right?
Every
always been
time
all
you turn
in.
on your TV, chicken parm, you taste so good, and he's always been a great businessman, and he's always milked every contract he could get for every last dollar, and I think Brady's playing catch up, but he's aggressively doing it.
He is, no doubt.
With the NFT company and the crypto stuff.
Yeah, the Bitcoin stuff or whatever, right?
And the Brady brand. He's trying to make himself into a Michael Jordan as it relates to having this brand that generates billions long after he stopped playing. I think he may have got started on that a little bit too late to really give it traction, but
yeah.
I feel like he has been, and I don't want to psychoanalyze the guy any more than we have for the past 11 days, but I really do think that Peyton Manning at some point inspired/challenged him to become the ultimate businessman, and I think it's a competition between the two to see who comes up with the money first to buy a team. I really do think that's what's driving them now deep down.
Wow.
I want to be the first one between the two of us to buy a team, and maybe they both buy a team that end up in the same division and they go against it. It's Peyton versus Brady. Not as the guy on the field,
Battle
but
of
the guy
the
with
owners,
the suit
right.
in the suite.
Right, that would be cool. I'd be all for it. I would. I mean, certainly. It just, that's they might be able to do that, and wouldn't be shocked, Mike. To your point, I really wouldn't be.
One reason I don't look forward to that is, it's going to take some time, and I'll be pretty damn old. Not that I'm not already by the time that happens. So I'm willing to let the next 20 years play out without either of them owning an NFL team.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.